We are Anka. Stay tuned for updated real news.
Hello, Anka Daily News viewers. We're here with hot developments. The war between Russia and Ukraine continues at full intensity, and each new day is shaped by striking news from the field. Especially in recent weeks, the point operations carried out by the Ukrainian army on the borderline attract attention. The war is no longer just about large-scale frontal movements. High-precision attacks by small units have a significant impact on the course of the war. Such operations have the potential to change the balance on the ground and have important moral and strategic implications. Today's developments came from the Kursk region in northeastern Ukraine, very close to the Russian border. The activity in the region reveals once again that the Ukrainian army is not only defending its own territory, but also targeting Russian troops with cross-border operations. In particular, the tactical offensives carried out by some Ukrainian brigades herald an understanding of warfare that goes beyond the traditional patterns of war. Thanks to these operations, the Ukrainian army is achieving remarkable successes in terms of both intelligence and effective intervention. So, how did Ukraine's 110th Territorial Defense Brigade carry out this attack? What are the details of the operation? What tactics were used, and how did the Russian army respond to this attack? Let's take a look at the developments together. Before we get to our report, though, a quick reminder. The Anka Daily News team is completely real. Neither me nor any of my colleagues are artificial intelligence. Even though AI is very advanced, it's still not as good as us. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. We do read all the comments you leave on our videos, so please continue to share your ideas about our content. Tell us in the comments what content you'd like to see on the Anka Daily News channel. And now let us begin if you're ready. Anka Daily News reports. It was midnight. There was a strange silence in the dense pine forests west of the Kursk region near the Russian border. Ukraine's 110th Territorial Defense Brigade had been keeping the area under surveillance for weeks. Russian military activity in the area had increased, and this could have signaled preparations for a new offensive. But Ukrainian commanders had a different plan: to cut the enemy's logistical links, demoralize them, and relieve pressure on the front line. Brigade Commander Lieutenant Colonel Oleksiy Khmelnytsky's plan was simple but deadly. An 18-man task force selected from the elite task force would target a reconnaissance and supply route on the Russian side. Drone data in the area confirmed that 4 motorcycle reconnaissance teams frequently rode along this route, patrolling without armored support. This created ideal conditions for the operation. UAVs monitored patrols in the area for days. The habits of the Russian soldiers, their routes, their stopping points, and even the frequency of their conversations were analyzed. At the same time, plainclothed agents observed Russian civilian support elements refueling patrols at gas stations in border towns. Ukrainian intelligence determined that the motorcycle units patrolled every day between 9 and 10 a.m. and usually followed the same route. This route passed through a densely forested strip where signal interruptions were frequent and was considered safe by Russian commanders. However, this safe strip was the perfect place for the Ukrainians to set up an ambush. The operation began at 4:30 in the morning. An 18-man task force crossed the border in noiseless electronic all-terrain vehicles armed with light weapons. The vehicles were left 3 kilometers inland in dense bushes. The rest of the team proceeded on foot. The weather in the area was foggy and visibility was low, but this was an advantage for the Ukrainians. Quietly, they settled in the narrow pass in the target area. The path was a stony dirt road with sloping hills on both sides. In the middle of this road, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were carefully camouflaged. Four snipers took up positions 150 meters away from the IEDs. Other members took their positions on the hills with machine guns for supporting fire. The goal was to complete the attack in a few minutes, fast, silent, and deadly. At 9:07, the expected sound was heard. Four Russian soldiers on motorcycles were riding down a dirt road. Their helmets were shiny. The sound of their motorcycles pierced the silence of the forest. When they reached the spot where the IEDs had been planted, the commander signaled an explosion. The first motorcycle was blown up, then the second. The rider of the third motorcycle managed to stop at the last moment, but a sniper bullet lodged in his helmet, instantly incapacitating him. There was only one motorcycle left. The rider tried to turn back in a panic, but the machine gun crew stationed on the right hill riddled the vehicle with holes. Four motorcycles and four Russian soldiers were neutralized in just 40 seconds. But the operation did not end there. The Ukrainian team moved on to the plan's second phase. They took up new positions to ambush the 10-man reserve Russian team, which had heard the explosion and was heading towards the scene. About 6 minutes later, another sound came from the depths of the forest. This time, it was the reinforcements advancing on foot, not in armored vehicles. Wanting to completely destroy the enemy's moral superiority, the Ukrainian team opened a coordinated fire on this support team. The snipers took out 3 people in the first minute. The rest tried to fight back by lying on the ground, but they couldn't figure out what to aim at and where. After 6 minutes of fighting, the Ukrainian team neutralized the 10-man Russian support. All that remained were radio signals and silence echoing through the forest. The entire operation lasted 15 minutes. The Ukrainian team made a brief inspection of the battlefield, took with them a few weapons and documents that could be taken as evidence, and retreated to the borderline. There was no pursuit or interference during the withdrawal. As a result of the operation, 14 Russian soldiers were neutralized, 4 military motorcycles were destroyed, and there was not a single casualty on the Ukrainian side. The Russian army's reconnaissance line in the region was completely paralyzed. However, there was an air of panic in the radio transmissions from the Russian bases in the region. Commanders began to spread warnings that Ukrainian special forces are actively operating on the borderline. This clearly showed that the moral superiority had shifted in favor of Ukraine. Operation Silent Shadows was not just an ambush. It was a test of Ukraine's operational capability, intelligence, and coordination skills on enemy territory. The 110th Territorial Defense Brigade showed the world how guerrilla warfare in the region can be conducted professionally. In the aftermath of this attack, Russian headquarters in Kursk began to reconsider their patrol plans. Motorcycle patrols were halted, heavier armored units were dispatched, and demining vehicles were sent to the border. But these measures did not change how close, how silent, and how deadly the Ukrainian teams were. This operation proved once again that the war continues not only on the front lines, but also at the heart of the enemy territory. Ukraine has shown that it can win the war not only by defending, but also by taking the enemy's breath away. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army achieved what it wanted in Kursk? Let us know in the comments. We read and care about your points of view.